In today's video, it's going to be something different. I'm going to be looking at these two pens on the table and giving you my thoughts in terms of kind of the pros and cons of each pen, and probably give a summary in the end. What do I prefer each pen for? Right? There's no winner or loser in this so-called comparison, just my opinions of what these pens are best used for. So we have the Pilot Custom 823. It's probably, in top three on the internet, at least in terms of favorite pens or must-have pens to buy. And on the other side, we have the Pilot Custom Heritage 912. This one doesn't get as much press as the 823, but in some ways, I believe that it should get pretty much the same attention as the 823, and we'll go into the points later on. Maybe I'll just put a piece of paper underneath to kind of give a bit more contrast. First things first, looking at the two pens design wise. So obviously I'm not going to go into vacuum fillers and all that. 823 is definitely a vacuum filler. We're going to just be looking at the design, right? So lengthwise, 823 is slightly longer. I don't think it's so long as to make it much better or much worse than the 912. Main point, however, is whether or not you prefer pens that have a kind of a squared off top or the flat top, or do you prefer like a cigar shaped or torpedo shaped pen? I tend to gravitate, or my preference is actually for this shape of pen. It's just me, right? I mean, you probably prefer one or the other, so it's very personal. Next thing would be the feel of the pen. So basically, the 823 feels great. They use a very nice resin. It feels harder somehow, and it feels more dense compared to the 912, but it could just be me, right? The other thing you might want to take note of is the 912 is probably slightly thicker, right? It feels slightly chunkier compared to the 823, at least from the exterior like this. The last point, exterior wise, is probably the clip, right? I don't use clips very much, as you probably know if you watch my videos, but I prefer the sword style clip. It's just more classical, more clean in terms of design compared to this ball. Never been a fan of this ball clip from Pilot. So let's just uncap the two of them. So what I've done is I've actually, I have a 743 Pilot custom 743, and I've actually swapped the nib from that pen to the 823, and this is probably where the beginning of the comparison kind of begins, right? So but before we do that, let's talk about balance. So initially, when I started using fountain pens, I was very big in terms of having pens that were kind of balanced right in the middle, right? And if you look at, I'm just trying to balance it. This is where the balance point of the 823 is with some ink. It's kind of ever so slightly from the back. I mean, to the right of center, so to say. If I look at the 912, it's nearly perfectly balanced. Hard to do this on camera, right? It's just the fact that it's using the converter mechanism rather than the vacuum fill. That's what I think. Section wise, they are nearly identical. Sorry about that. In terms of thickness and in terms of the length of the section. So I mean, both of them are very, very comfortable. for day-to-day writing. And let's get to the actual meat and potatoes side. Feet wise, if you look at the two feet, they are pretty much the same. I'm not sure whether the insides are different, but visually from the outside they look the same, right? And then now we get to the actual the nib. So one of them is size 15, which is the 823. Sorry, I switched sides. And then the 912 is the size 10 nib. And in the past, I might have thought that, you know, having a bigger nib would kind of be better, right? Because bigger is always better, right? But I'm not too sure, as you'll see later on, right? So it all depends on what you use these pens for. So I'm just going to write a little bit to kind of show you what I mean. And I hope this comes up. Might have to shift a little bit down here. So if I write normally, and this is with no pressure, this nib feels fantastic. I mean, it's smooth. It gives a tiny amount of feedback for me to write, you know, normal on a normal day-to-day basis. It's not, you can feel that it's soft, but it's not so soft as to interfere with certain strokes. Like for example, this, you don't actually feel that softness very much. And flex wise, so if I have to change my writing angle to show you the flex. So I'm just going to write like so. And for you guys who say that I shouldn't be flexing this pen because it's not a flex pen, I mean, I know, sorry, but it is a soft pen, soft nib pen. So basically, you can flex the nib. I mean, you can kind of get some line variation rather, but it's not, I mean, I'm not comfortable pushing it beyond a certain point, right? I mean, you know, these are not very cheap pens in the first place, and you know, as long as I get this soft feel, right, and you know, I guess I have to do this or this. Sorry. This softness, and it's probably what is more important rather than absolute thickness of the variation that you can get. The other thing about this pen is sorry, actually I forgot to open up the mechanism, which is probably the one thing which irritates me about this pen, is that if I forget to do this, it will run out after a while. But as you can see, I mean, if I do a lot of quick strokes, I mean, this nib doesn't really run out. Incidentally, this is using Konpeki, same as the other pen. Okay, so hope you got decent idea of the writing performance of this pen. So to sum up, it's great for everyday writing, and it's also kind of passable if you want to kind of do a little bit of creative or, you know, artsy type writing. So now the 912. Sorry, this is the 823. It's the 912. Just abbreviating everything. So immediately when I write with the 912, I feel that the nib is ever so slightly not as smooth as the 823. It's just like a tiny bit feedbacky compared to this pen, right? Just a hair, right? The other thing I notice is that I feel that it, in this angle, at least for this nib that I have, I feel that you can feel the softness this way, which can get a bit disconcerting if you write with heavy pressure, right? Okay, that's a bit of a loss of feed. So basically you would notice immediately from looking this, and I'll bring it up for a close-up later on. This pen does have a tendency to kind of randomly, for no reason, kind of give you moments like that, right? So now it's behaving itself, but see, do you see that? So basically it will have moments whereby it would just kind of zone out feed wise. Okay, so it's decided not to write anymore. But basically, that's the consequence of this particular pen, whereby it has a feed which kind of, if you do lots and lots of writing, I mean, not normal writing like this is perfectly fine. If you kind of exercise the nib, you know, that way, you would get the effect which you just saw just now, right? Whereas the other pen, I don't see it that much. However, if you kind of look at the actual line width that you can get with the, sorry, I'm trying to bring it up here. If you can actually look at the line width of the 912, you can get more variation than that of the 823. So to kind of sum things up, what do I think about these two pens? I'm going to bring the paper away. I think both pens are pretty good pens, or pens which definitely should be on your list if you're looking for kind of a creative writing pen that can also be your daily pen. I lean towards the 912, even though, like you probably saw in the writing performance, kind of like did not keep up and all that. And the reason being, I use this pen primarily for like day-to-day writing, and if I do normal writing, right, no problem at all. It never has that loss of ink from the feed that you saw earlier on. I also like the way this pen looks. I mean, I'm drawn to that classical rhodium trim or silver trim, and I'm drawn to kind of the way it kind of looks in the hand, right? You can post it as well. I have started posting my pens more as I've gotten more into fountain pens. Probably the only downside is if you want to exercise the nib like you saw just now, right? You probably need to kind of consider, doing some modification to the feet. Right, I've seen people actually change these pens to ebonite feet and kind of gets rid of that lack of ink flow, or loss of ink flow. Sudden loss is probably the better word. This pen, however, is the all-in-one. It's the jack of all trades. Basically, it's more suited for everyday writing compared to the 912, even though I prefer that more. Why? Because this nib is slightly harder. I mean, it's slightly stiffer than the 912, and that translates to easier everyday writing. Right? You feel also that this nib is kind of stronger, right, in a way from writing, right? But could just be me, right? The other thing obviously is ink capacity. This one has huge ink capacity, but that's not a consideration for me because, I tend to change inks quite a lot. So that kind of ends my examination or comparison of these two pens. I think both of these pens are great pens. I think they are worthy of you considering them as probably, like I said, a creative pen as well as an everyday pen. I would like to know what all of your thoughts are after seeing this. Let me know if you prefer one of these pens versus the other, or any other observations you might have had from this video. So again, thanks for watching this channel. Please continue to support me by subscribing, and I thank those subscribers who have been sticking with me for the last 8 or 9 months or so, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.